we are live. We are live, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back to my live stream. Thank you guys for joining me. For those of you guys, if this is your first time, I'm James Jackson. I am a filmmaker out in the Philadelphia area. And essentially, I like talking about gear. I like talking about cameras, and I love the art of filmmaking, and I like sharing any helpful tips and ideas. And this weekly live streams that I do every Thursday at 6 p.m., I go over the latest news in the film industry. So if you guys enjoyed, thank you for taking your time to join out here. Let me know if audio is good. I always like to check to make sure audio is good. It sounds good. I think this is a little bit loud, so I'm gonna crank this down real quick. All right, I think we are good here. Okay, Robert says I can hear me fine. Perfect. So it's overall, in terms of just news in general, it's relatively quiet. I mean, it is the aftermath of IBC, which is where all the big news that came out. And if for all you guys that came last week, we had a nice little conversation about the things that we were excited about. But for those of you that may be new here, that missed it, I would love to hear what you guys, if there's any new products that you saw that you're very excited, I would love to know. So if it's something that you may want to see, maybe bring on the channel, I would love to hear. So that's it. But today there is something that we are going to talk about that I kind of announced, or I kind of sort of talked about a couple weeks ago during live stream a couple weeks ago, and that is the Pyxis 12K was starting to ship, and we are now starting seeing the first signs that people are getting their Pyxis 12Ks. I haven't gotten mine yet. I'm still waiting for mine. We'll see how long it takes for me to get it, but people are getting it. I saw a little story reel of Pro AV TV that they're showing that they've got a Pyxis in-house, a Pyxis 12K. So today we're going to be talking about that, and also Blackmagic actually released some helpful tips for those of us that are interested in the Pyxis 12K, so I'm going to go over that. Also, YM Cinema magazine actually posted some interesting readout speeds comparing the FX3 with the C50 and the Nikon ZR, along with the FX2, to give a gauge of what to talk about. So I'm kind of going to go over some of that, and then we'll just, of course, have some fun. And if there's interest, I'm actually, if anybody has interest, because I've just got done doing my recertification training for DaVinci Resolve. So if you guys got questions, I can load up DaVinci Resolve during this live stream. If there's enough interest, I'll load it up, and then I can sort of go in and sort of give some helpful tips. But if it's color grading, editing, the only ones I will say is maybe Fusion. I'm still very unfamiliar. I'll be honest. I'm still very unfamiliar with Fusion as much, and I know a little bit of Fairlight. So I would say editing, color grading. If you have questions with those, I will be happy to help you out. So let's see. Here is who is here. Robert's here. Okay, audio is sounding good. Great. 7 from 8. Thank you for joining, man. When did you order? I am I'm waiting for an Amazon order. So I didn't go through B&H because I know everybody was going to go through B&H and Adorama's. I figured Amazon would be a closer time frame. It still hasn't updated, so we'll see. We'll see if that comes up. And either way, I might still be getting it relatively soon. We'll see. We'll see about that. But let's not waste any of you guys' time. Let's go into, again, the Pyxis 12K has been announced, and they have been released. So, but Blackmagic actually, so let me see if I can find it. But I think it was in the support page. Blackmagic actually released some helpful tips. Yep, here it is. So let me go to the computer screen for you guys. Give me 1 second. So this is probably not the easiest to read, but they there is a list of CF Express cards. I don't know why. All right, here we go. Here it is. So Blackmagic just today, they released this list of CF Express cards that are going to be compatible with the Pyxis 12K. I'll move myself out here just so you guys can see a little clearer. But as you guys can see, the following CF Express cards are recommended for 12K 16:9 Blackmagic RAW, 8:1 up to 45 frames a second, and 8K 3.2 open gate up to 60 frames a second in 5:1 compressions. So there's quite a few Angel Birds devices, the V4s. So those are like the latest types of cards. So Angel Bird V4s, even the 512s are 1 terabytes. You can get the AV Pro XX ones. Appears quite a few of those. You got Delkin devices, Black VPG 400, that the 512 one. So that seems to be about a couple of XRs, OWC, and Pro Grade Digital, as well as Wise. So if you guys are interested in finding out, I'll leave a link in the chat, but it's just on the support page. So all you have to do is just go to the support page, and you can see if you are interested in getting the Pyxis 6. If you guys are interested in Pyxis 12K, these are the ones they recommend for the more serious, the serious data-driven files. So I'm pretty sure if you're going with more compressed options like 4K, open gate, 8:1 or 12:1, I think majority of CF Express cards will be able to handle something like that, or even like the Q5. But it's still good to know. Why is this drop down here? Sorry. So so basically the CF Express Type B. So I'm actually so again, this is the link. You guys can check it out. So you guys can make sure if you guys are getting the Pyxis 12K, you'll have the proper cards. So I'm going to sort of now go into what I am going to be doing in order to prepare for, let me put that way, what I'm going to be doing to prepare for the Pyxis 12K. So I have, I think in terms of getting it set up and ready, I've got a monitor because it looks like the Pyxis monitors are still really hard to get a hand on. So I think I mentioned this in the last stream, but Blackmagic actually sent me one of their video assist monitors, but that was for the A7, the FX3 to try out whatever the B-RAW update comes out. So it still isn't out yet, but if I do happen to get a Pyxis, I'll probably use the video assist monitor in the meantime. That way I can get some 1080p. I can get some 1080 proxies or even some potential 4K proxies if I want to do it that way. So that will be my monitor for the time period until I can actually get an actual Pyxis monitor. I think after looking at a bunch of cages, I think I'm going to go the Tilta route. For me, I'm going to go with the Tilta cage. I kind of like the design of it a little bit more. I liked it that it still works relatively with a lot of the other accessories that can come, like the top handle. So I think I'm going to do that, and also you could get it and it's a case that you can get a complete set for relatively cheap, with a back that could go for a V-mount battery. There is one other way I'm intrigued, but I don't know if it will actually work. The other way I'm thinking about doing it is I'm looking to get a Sony BPU battery, like the 31, that will just sit snug right onto the Pyxis. But then I'm going to MacGyver a V-mount, like a female V-mount locking plate to the back of that. And then I'm going to use one of my trusty Inu power banks and run a cable from that and plug it into the 12-volt port. Because that way I can keep the camera very lightweight and very compact. Whereas the Tilta will really make it a lot larger, which will be great for like serious longer term things. But if I need to just be a little bit more nimble, I'm interested to try it out. But the thing is, I've only seen one cable that fits the 2-pin LEMO that the Pyxis 12K has with a Type-C port. So the only thing is I don't know if it holds, I believe you need to hold 12 volts and 9 amps in order to power continuously the Pyxis 12K, if I remember correctly, which for the Inu batteries, that's not a problem. It can handle that. The issue is that I just need to make sure, can the cable do that? So I'm doing my research, and by the way, if I think when I release like my segmented version of this section, I'll leave a link of everything that I'm going to get. So if this is something that you guys are interested in, but and of course I've seen of Tulan's videos and his friends' videos. If you haven't seen those videos, I mean, it looks very similar to the Ursa City 12K, which the image out of those is just beautiful. So I'm so excited for this camera to finally arrive. But let's go and answer some questions. Philippe from Switzerland, thank you, man, for joining me again. You've been a consistent member of the stream, and I constantly want to give a shout out to you for constantly supporting us, man. I appreciate it. David, man, thank you for joining. He says, interesting, the 2 terabyte and 4 terabyte engine bird V2 isn't there. Yeah, I'm not sure if Blackmagic has tested every single CIF Express card, so there also may be, I think the big concern with this particular camera is how well will the cameras deal with heat. And I know that the larger capacity media cards, they tend to not deal with heat well. At least with my experience with when I had the R5, the Canon R5, once I got to 1 terabyte, it seems to have a lot struggling dealing with high data-driven recording options. So that may be one of the reasons. When is my C50 arriving? I mean, the C50s are technically not going to be arriving anyway till November. From what I have heard, they're not even shipping or arriving to people till November. So it's going to be at least till then, and even then, I'm not sure. I'll be waiting a while. My number one goal from the get-go was to get the Pyxis 12K, and that still is my number goal. So until I get my hands on it and I see how it works, I'm almost certain it's going to be the camera for me. But if something doesn't, then maybe I'll look at a C50. But yeah, I don't know when I will be getting a C50 in. My first priority is the Pyxis 12K. But I'll definitely rent it, or I'll definitely rent it and give it a shot and try it out. So again, they're not supposed to be arriving till November, King. So until they arrive, and maybe I can find a rental house that has them, or I find someone who is shooting on it, then I'll start giving a shot at it. But that we don't have to worry about it anyway till November. Also for the Pyxis 12K, you can use the rear USB-C for monitoring or EVF, so you can use both. Yes, that's actually is one of the things that is changed from the 6K to this 12K, is the fact that they've updated the USB-C on the back. They also updated the Ethernet port, because I believe it was a 1 gig Ethernet port on the Pyxis 6K. On the 12K, it's a 10 gig Ethernet port. So if you want to transfer data off there, it's significantly faster, or even if you want to use it on a live streaming, the response times is going to be much faster. But I think the main thing that most people are going to probably use that data, if they use it at all, is to offload media. And you can do that really, really quickly if you, of course, have the proper ports that can handle all that beat. But it's going to be really fast either way. But yeah, he's right. So this can rock both the EVF and the Pyxis monitor, which is cool. Or you can rock 2 monitors, mainly because if you got a Type-C to HDMI port, you can use both of those data ports will work to run video signal to HDMI monitors. So this is a camera that now has 3 video outputs, which to me completely increases the value of it. Yeah, the Blackmagic broadcast handle, absolutely. Robert, it was interesting because that handle is exactly what I was saying Blackmagic should do. Because I was like, they should make a handle that gives it off to the side that could treat it like an old, one of those old, not beta cameras, but very to like a broadcast style camera where you can handle it. It looks less inconspicuous and it looks more normie. It looks like more like a normie filmmaker versus looking like maybe you're a professional. So if you are not sure, which I should always quantify, you should always try to get permission. While yes, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. You should always try to get permission just through experience. It typically does go in your favor a lot of times if you come with the right character and the right mindset. But I digress. The point I'm trying to make is if you need to be more conspicuous for whatever reason, that setup kind of fits that mold a lot better. So I really love the handle too, man. Really love it. Let's see here. The handle is also my favorite thing about the C50. Yeah, the top handle, I don't know if it's my favorite thing about the C50, but I love it. I do love the design of that handle on the C50. I think my main thing is just the design of the body, design of the body, and the amount of customizable buttons. In terms of the physical aspects, obviously the open gate is another big thing that I'm excited about, but yes. So Stug gives his answer of what the thing is excited about. Viltrox Nexus PL to E Pro adapter. Thoughts on this product? So I actually gave my thoughts last week, but to me that Viltrox adapter to me is the most exciting non-camera product that came out of IBC. I am so excited to try that, and hopefully I can convince Viltrox to send me one, since I have worked with them in the past. So, but this is not a guarantee. But obviously I've worked with Viltrox in the past with their monitors as well as their L to PL adapter. So I hope that I can get a chance to try this adapter. We'll see, but I'm so excited. I'm really am excited, and I will. That is my most anticipated product outside of the Pyxis 12K, the C50, the ZR, and then for me, GVM zip tile panel lights is the other thing I'm most excited about. But compared to all this, I think only the Pyxis 12K is a product that I'm more excited at than the PL, this new adapter, because if this works, oh my gosh, I could finally say goodbye to photo lenses, because photo lenses, that's the only reason why I've had photo lenses, is just for any shots that I may need autofocus. But if you could do this where I don't need to attach a LiDAR system where you need another camera and another way to view it, and based on what I've also heard, Viltrox has already preset a lot of lenses profiles. So I'm sure the popular ones like DZO, which I have the Vespids, which hopefully that's a plus, but the DZO Vespids, the Cooks, the Nisis, the Ari Master Primes, I'm pretty sure all the popular lenses they've got set up. So if that's the case, can you imagine just having a small like cinema camera, like a small cinema lenses like the Vespids on an FX3, and you could tap the autofocus? This is something I know game changing gets thrown around a lot, but personally, I think this is truly a game changing product. But again, it depends on what it does. One, also, Brandon and Jarrell on their show brought up a very interesting point. Will Canon be left behind on this? Because Canon still is not very open to third parties. And hopefully this product and the excitement on this product from everybody that I've talked to, they're really excited about this product. Hopefully this kicks Canon in the butt to get things in high motion to hopefully support something like this. Because I can totally see why a lot of people will step away from the C50 if this comes out and it's a huge success, but Canon is not involved. So, but yeah, but Stu, that is arguably one of my most anticipated products. Hey, Sean, thank you, man. Thank you. First time here. Curious on what you have to share with us. So yeah, I've got, like I said, we went over the Pyxis. I think I'm gonna go over the YMC magazine in a second, but this is an open thing where we get to talk. It's been a relatively slow week, and that's why I've also opened up to I'm opening up today. Again, I'll remind. I'll open up DaVinci Resolve because I just got recertified to be a trainer. I just went through the recertification classes. I still got to take the test, so I should clarify that. But I'm able to give help and assist the people that are interested in DaVinci Resolve. It's still new to you, so if that's something you guys are interested in, we can continue with that in the live stream. But but thank you for joining, man. I'm really happy, and hopefully you'll sit by and be able to continue to join us. Ernie, hey, what's up, man? Hey, it's good. Thank you. It's good to see you on the channel, man. Thank you again. How you been? Also, see some people have the Pyxis 12K. Is it shipping now? Yes. It actually I got word 2 weeks ago that that they were starting to ship. And then I've been told that, and usually, I won't say I've been told. I will say that usually a couple weeks after the initial shippings go out, you may start seeing content creators start posting on the Pyxis 12K. It takes, they have a certain rollout Blackmagic likes to do, so I'm trying to find the best way to say this without getting myself in trouble. But yes, it is shipping. People are starting to get their hands on it. I know Pro AV TV's got theirs. I believe Kofi was just saying that his should be coming soon. So really exciting times. I think maybe this is just my opinion, but I think this is the most anticipated camera everybody's been waiting to see. Thoughts on the PD Live Air 4 Smart? I find it intriguing. I will say this in terms of like a LiDAR style system, Stu. I think I do love the design and how it functions. But I don't know yet because I haven't tried it. Because I think they only just finished their Kickstarter round on it, so they're going to start having those being shipped out soon. So it is a very interesting product. I just don't have a lot to say because I haven't actually put it in my hands, and I don't know how to compare it to, say, the DJI, but it is interesting. It's best. Is the Pyxis pushing P's? I don't know if it's going to make us money. I guess he's. Okay. I think I know what you're going at with this question. Is it going to? I think it will. I think the Pyxis will make money. I know I have talked to a few rental houses in the Philly area. I know one isn't necessarily looking to get into it yet, but another is potentially looking at acquiring a few for rental. So the way I look at it is, if rental houses are interested in purchasing a camera product, that is a good sign that there's a demand for a market, especially for these rental houses which deal with major productions. So it's a good sign. It's not, but again, it's not consistent across all of them. But I do think there's going to be a market for these. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for people to get in their hands, people to try it out, for DPs that have the name recognition to get to put a project that can get eyes on it. And then once that happens, then I think, but that's going to take like a couple years. However, the way I look at it is, does it fit your need and for what you're looking for? And for me, at least, the Pyxis 12K is the camera that not only fits my need, it's the camera that best fits me as a shooter. And that's at the end of the day, that's all that most important. Yes, being able to have it to where make money off it. So that's a given. Especially if you're going to be spending $5,500, you want to make sure this is going to get money. So I understand. I'm basically, long story short, I understand the hesitation. And if you want to wait, hey, there is no problem waiting. There's no reason to rush on these. I don't think we're going to see a situation like DJI where supplies are going to be so limited, like you want to scramble and there's going to be like this super inflated cost like DJI drones are right now. I don't see that happening with Blackmagic Design. They still got good ties and good relations, even with the inflation. They still got good ties here in the United States. So I don't see like a surprise crush happening anytime soon. I think it's just like, hey, wait and see, man. What is your solution for audio on the Pyxis 12K? I need 4 channels of audio. I can do audio externally, but I like audio into the camera. So if you need 4 channels of audio, I mean, the only thing I don't know if there is a solution, because there's no way to get, even if you were to get a breakout box that would put 4 channels of audio into the camera, you would have to they would be mixed into the camera's metadata. Because if I remember correctly, in my understanding, the Pyxis 12K, like the cinema camera 6K, will only be able to ingest 2 channels of audio. Now you can obviously add more in post with DaVinci, but in terms of actually baking it into the file, I think it will only save two channels, which means even if you were to get a breakout box that would give you 4 channels, it would mix those audios together instead of giving you 2 clean ISOs. So if that is a need, man, I'll be honest, you may have to look elsewhere. I mean, Sonys are great with that. Canons are great with that. I'm trying to think. I think the Ursas may have 4 channels of audio, but Sonys and Canons are typically great. And you can obviously, if you do Lumix, if you go Lumix cameras and get the audio mount, you can get 4 channels of audio. So there's other options. But I'm trying to say, if having 4 independent audios in there, then this may not be the camera for you. 4 channels of audio is not a big deal, because I record all my audio isolated, and then I just put a mix. I run a mix into the camera. But at the end of the day, I still record audio externally. But again, if that's a demand, it just may not be the case for you, man. Oh, okay, and you get the Vespa 2s, dope, man. I would love to know if you can swing back by when you get them, and let me know what you think about them, man. We'd love to hear about them. Sigma has a couple cinema lenses with AF for the L mount. That is true. That is great. But that's right now for the L mount, and it's a mount. It is a mount only option. So, and I'm glad the L mount is growing. It still has a long way to go for me before I can say I want a mount system that I can commit to. My big gripe with the L mount is that there isn't a lot of stabilized lenses with it compared to other ecosystems. So that's my main gripe with them. Obviously, if I go with a Viltrox adapter going to PL, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But it's good that they have it for the L mount. I just prefer PL, because then no matter what camera I choose, whether if it's Sony FX3 or Pyxis 12K or Canon C50, for PL, I will be able to shoot on any camera that I want. So usually I'll only get a specific mount lens if for first party electronic support like autofocus and stabilization. that is the only reason why I would get a mount lens. And usually I'll only get one, maybe two from the ecosystem. Outside of that, I'm just getting PL glass because it's just easier for me to work with different systems. I don't think the Pyxis 12K has made to sell in big numbers, and the 6K is. We'll see. We'll see. I think the Pyxis 6K obviously has a very more friendlier price, and you know what? Now I think about it, Robert. Now that you said that, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's not designed for the masses. But then again, I don't think Blackmagic cameras, at least these Pyxis and these new generation of Blackmagic cameras, I don't think they're designed for the masses. But I do agree. The Pyxis 6K is probably going to be a more enticing camera. Most people are probably not going to see the benefit of spending that extra money. I do. Because the main thing I want the Pyxis 12K is for that full frame 4K open gate. That's the main reason. It isn't 12K. It isn't 8K. I'm gonna spend 95% of my shooting in 4K 3x2 open gate and 12-bit RAW, and that's the main reason why I'm getting the Pyxis 12K, because there really isn't another camera that can do downsampling to 4K and shoot 3.2 open gate in 12-bit RAW. There isn't a lot of cameras, at least under $5,500, outside of really Kinefinity. And even though Blackmagic may not have the best recognition, Kinefinity has even less than that. And that's not a knock against Kinefinity, because I love the image out of the Kinefinity cameras. They're beautiful. But more people also know Blackmagic than they do Kinefinity. Good evening from Lakeland, Florida. Thanks you, man. Thanks for joining. Appreciate that. Yes, the eye data is intriguing. And I think this also, that's a good way to just show how this market has changed. Because if you got to think about it, having a cinema lens with iCook technology back just a few years back, it would have cost you triple the cost of the Vespid 2s. But just seeing where we are in terms of quality of products that we're getting in filmmaking compared to things years ago, it's crazy how much how much quantity commoditization, that's what the word I'm looking for, commoditization has happened. Only Canon has stabilized cinema lenses without autofocus. Yeah, look, I think Canon not opening their RF mount up to a lot of third parties for full frame autofocus is an issue. Having said all that, man, I still think Canon has the best set of lenses out of all the ecosystems. They may not have the most redundant ecosystem and maybe not the greatest ecosystem, but in terms of the lenses in that ecosystem, I mean, they have the most stabilized lenses. If you actually go and search for stabilized lenses, I'm talking about good quality stabilizations. I'm not talking about variable aperture lenses or like f5.6 or f4. I'm talking at least 2.8 with if it's a zoom, a constant aperture, and being image stabilized. Canon basically takes the win, and it's not even close. But yeah. Have I worked with the Let's I'm sorry, I don't remember. I keep forgetting how to say it. But Let's Hugos? No, I haven't, man. I haven't. I think I'm mostly interested in the Hectors, but I would love to try to see I would love to see what the Hugos look like. Prosolescentex, apologies if I butchered your name. I understand that differently than on the Pyxis scale, you can use both the Pyxis Blackmagic monitor and the Blackmagic EF at the same time. Yes, that's what we were talking about at the beginning, man. Where because the Type C on the back has been updated, you can use both. You can use both Type C outputs to send video out to either the EVF or the Pyxis monitor. But the point I was trying to make is it's not just reserved to both those Blackmagic products. You literally could put any monitor that has an HDMI input, and you can run it off of those Type Cs, because they're still sending, as long as the Type C sends a video data out, which by definition a Type C to HDMI is sending a video signal out. So just by doing that, you literally could put any monitor that has an HDMI input into either one of those ports. So, and you still got the 12G SDI on the back. So there's that. So that's, again, this camera now has 3 video outputs, which is really well designed. All right, let's look at some interesting things that I've discovered, that I found. Ooh, why are we having ads? All right, here we go. So, YM Cinema Magazine actually put out this article, I believe it was today, or it was a few days ago, but they were going over the readout. They talked about the readout speeds of the FX3 and the C50 from Canon and the Nikon ZR and the FX2. And what's interesting and what's awesome is that the Sony FX3 is still the king in terms of the readout speed. So, got the whole article here. You can read it yourself. Again, it's on YM Cinema Magazine. But based on the testings, I'm thinking, and I think this is, they're taking the data from Gerald Undone, if I remember correctly. But the FX3 has 8.8 millisecond readout speed, as most people know. The Nikon ZR is the one that comes the close second at 9.44 milliseconds. That's still from 8.8 milliseconds to 9.44. That's really close, and quite honestly, it's indistinguishable. So at that point, it's, to me, indistinguishable. So to me, I take that as they have essentially the same readout speed. It's slightly slower, but it's like we're talking minuscules. It's to the point where it's indifferent. The Canon C50 comes in third with 14.2, which is still respectable. And I still consider anything at 15 milliseconds and under, I consider that solid. I'd consider that a really decent readout speed. I think the S1 II has similar readout speeds at, I think, 13. I think it's like 13 something milliseconds. And then with the FX2 basically having the Sony, I believe it's the same sensor as the Sony A7 III or the A7 IV. So it has the slowest readout at 27.7 milliseconds, which is not great, not terrible, but close to terrible. Whereas if you guys give me a second, if I can try to pull out the Pyxis 12K readout speed, so we can kind of get an idea, sort of, the similarities to this. This was a few months. This was posted a few months back. This was released by Blackmagic, but this is coming off of YM Cinema as well. In terms of that, and I'll move myself over here so you guys see, with the Pyxis 12K in 3.2 open gate, your readout speed is 2412 milliseconds. Now, before everybody freaks out, again, this is like worst case scenario for the Pyxis 12K. Like worst case scenario. This is the worst performance section. So, and again, you're essentially reading 100 megapixel sensor at 40 frames a second. So, again, would we like to see better than that? Yes. And By the way, if you ever want to know what the Ursa Cine 12K can do, just cut every single readout speed you see here in half, and it's essentially what you get. But once you start getting to the 8K and the 4K readout speeds, that's where things get interesting. So in 3.2 open gate in either 8K and 4K, you get 13.51 milliseconds. Now it says the max frame rate. The frame rate doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what frame rate this is. The readout speed is the same. It depends on the resolution and the aspect ratio that you choose for the Pyxis 12K. But 13.51 milliseconds. So it's essentially it's a little bit faster. It's slightly faster than the Canon C50 and its 8K 3.2 open gate, as well as its 4K 3.2 open gate. But if you go to 16:9, it drops down to 11.61 milliseconds. And then in the 17:9 goes to 10. So we're getting good territory. And then and it's 2:4:1. And this, again, both 8K and 4K, you're getting 8.59 milliseconds. So again, so in the 2:4:1 aspect ratio, you're getting ever so slightly faster readout speeds than the FX3. But at that point, it's indifferent. Again, it's an indifferent thing. And then you got the 9K Super 35s, which the readout speeds go up again because it's 1:1 in this mode. So the fastest is 2:4:1 at 11.59, but still pretty respectable in my opinion. So which is dope. So all in all, so basically what this says is, outside of one recording option on the Pyxis 12K, the FX3 still reigns, but honestly, it's gotten to the point now it's kind of indifferent. Again, the Z9 being significantly cheaper than the FX3, getting essentially the same readout speed. And again, we're talking about like 0.6 difference, 0.6 millisecond difference between that and the FX3. So to me, that's indifferent. And you got the Pyxis 12K, again, in that 2:4:1 mode, which slightly faster. But it still says a lot that a lot of non-global shutter cameras still don't cross that benchmark that the FX3 point out. So it definitely just shows the value that this camera has. So, all right, Robert, thank you for the clarification. Would a Pyxis 4K model, cheaper model, make sense? I mean, here's the thing. If they're going to give a Pyxis 4K, they're not going to use the RGB sensor. They would basically use a CMOS sensor. Would it make sense? I don't know if it would make. I'll be honest, I don't know if it would make sense. I think now, even though 4K is still the deliverable standard, I think the growing sense that I have seen from a lot of filmmakers. I'm filmmakers. I'm talking small time filmmakers. The big filmmakers don't really care about all this stuff. They're more about creative. But the smaller ones like us that are gearheads like us, I don't know if there is, especially in this price bracket, because there's so many other cameras that have higher resolution in these price brackets that in a way it will work against it. Like, strangely enough, if you made a 4K, if there was a way to make like an RGB style RGBW sensor that shoots only 4K, and you basically charge like $40,000 for it, like an Alexa, it actually probably would be successful. But in this price bracket, interestingly enough, I don't know if it would, because a lot of people will just look at it and look at the other options, like the C400. You already got cameras like the FX6 and the FX3 that strangely hold their value, like have gotten more more valuable than they have been before, which actually there's an interesting article that I'm going to pull up for you guys. But I actually don't think it would be successful, if that makes sense. Strange, in a weird, strange way, I think if it's not 6K or above, or at the least some sort of 5K, some higher resolution, higher than 4K resolution, I honestly, man, don't know if it would actually be full, if that makes sense. I don't understand how the ZR roll shutter is that much faster than the Z6 III. I assume that Red NE is nowhere near that fast. And look, it may be just how they've handled the processor. It could be the compression of how they're compressing it. I personally don't know, and I'm just thinking typically what boosts readout speeds. Usually it's like maybe you take away some of that dynamic range, because that's actually. So a lot of people were wondering, like, wait, how is it that the Canon C50 actually gets more dynamic range in Super 35? And Gerald and Dunn actually came up with the answer, because apparently this is what was told by Canon, is that they basically sacrificed potential faster readout speeds in Super 35 and basically kept the readout speeds the same as it would have been in full frame. But instead, by keeping it that way, they could boost the dynamic range in Super 35 mode. So in Super 35 on the Canon C50, you actually get more dynamic range than you would in shooting the full frame readout of the sensor. So who knows? I don't know. Again, technically, I don't know, but those are just some of my guesses. So the Z3 is about the same speed as the C50. It also could be just that they're using older tech in that camera versus what they worked with Red on the ZR. So that's probably it. So let me see if I can find. Oh yeah. So this is actually a Newsshooter article that came out, and basically it's like showing how the FX3 actually got more expensive since it came out. I found it so fascinating. So I'll pull this up so you guys can take a look at it. So here's the article. Essentially, they showed almost 5 years after it was first announced that Sony FX3 will cost you almost $1,000 more than what it did back in 2020. At launch, it was $5,999.99. At its current price, it's $6,998. And they actually gave a list of sort of cameras that came out that were priced in 2020. So the FX3 was essentially $6,000. The C70 was $5,500. The Red Komodo was $6,000. The Zcam F6 was $4,000. Panasonic, even y'all get the gist, and y'all can see it here. Look at what things are, where these cameras sit right now, and you'll see the Sony cameras. The FX3 is the only camera that has actually gone up in price. Everything has either went down or they've been discontinued. So like the C70, you can get now brand new for $4,000. The Komodo OG, you can now get new for $3,000. The Zcam, this is the first gen. They announced the new gen ones, which, if I understand, they're still using the same sensor. They've just updated a lot of the hardware and some software stuff. But that is now $3,300. And then the EVA, and then the OG Mavic LF and the OG Mavic 6K Super 30, they've been discontinued. But they actually still continue on, and actually give of the updates for a lot of the newer models too. So they give the C70, the C80 is now $5,500, the C400, $8,500. The Red Komodo they brought up, the Red Komodo X is now, the Red Komodo X I think was like $10,000 when it came out, and now it's $7,000. The Zcam that we talked about, Zcam, the Confinity Mark II LF is $6,000. So I, I guess again, with a whole new generation of the Mark IIs, that's the only one that went up. But that's still so interesting that the Sony FX6, 5 years later, still holds its price today. And there's a couple ways you can look at that. You can look at that as it's great. It has greatly held its value. And I will say this: look, it's still if you are if you work docs and you work corporate videos, or even I'll even say to a lesser degree weddings, but not really this, but docs and corporate videos, and I guess to a lesser extent commercials, but really docs and corporate videos. It still holds I still think it holds its value because it is, and it's still an in-demand camera. You will get work with it if you've already have the connections. If you already have the connections and people know your work and know your value, having that makes it seems. Even though I could go with and this is why I've always been hesitant of just giving away something like my FX3. Even though it's like we're getting almost 5 years old now on that. The reason why I don't let it go is because I know, at least in this area out in the tri-state area, there's a lot of people that we're connected that work with Sonys. And it's just easier to get on jobs when they know that I have a Sony to work with. And they don't see any issues with them. They don't, there's no need to upgrade because they work just fine. Their clients are not demanding new things. So on the other hand, it just shows how greatly valuable that camera is. On the other hand, it also shows just really they're just cranking it up with tariffs. There's no need to, honestly, because let's be clear, this price, it should be lowered by now. So even if you could make an argument for tariffs, it should still be lowered. And there is, and I'll even say this with the FX3. While it does still hold its value, in the grand scheme of things, it still doesn't make sense that something that old costs more than what you paid for 5 years ago. Cameras are not supposed to have an appreciating value because they're tech based. They have a set amount of tech that doesn't really improve. Lenses is a very different because lenses are more analog, or lenses are typically more analog driven, and they're more specifically on the image. They really shape the image more than necessarily the camera. But I don't know. I just feel it's kind of silly that it's more. It costs more than that. Anyway, so let's get back to the comments. Let's see here. Fishing real pictures. Hey man, thank you, man. With all these new cameras releases, I'm still towards FX3 due to being reliable. There you go. We just talked about this, man. It's still a reliable workhorse. As much as people dog and look, it's very cute. It's very cute right now to dog on the FX3. It's very cute on YouTube and by creators to dog on the FX3. Yes, it is older tech. I'm not knocking that. But I have yet to come across a client that's just I don't know, this image looks kind of old. I don't know if I'm happy. I've yet to come across a client of mine. Every single one still loves the image they see off these cameras. So as long as they're happy and I'm still getting paid by it, yeah. This is the perfect thing. It's yes, they're reliable workhorses. That's all this. I will say this. I'm not skeptical. Skeptical. Man, I am not skeptical. I'm not skeptical about the C50. Because even though Sony definitely is proven to be a reliable horses, Canon has held the thing of being a reliable workhorse for years. I would just as long as Sony, if not longer. So in terms of reliable workhorses, the C50 is going to be big. It's just where will that be big? To me, I think the C50 is going to be a lot bigger in the content creation space, just because of the various aspect ratios you can work with, along with dock work. I think it's going to do well with dock work, and I think it's going to do well in weddings, because it's designed really well for that space. So if you're in that space, I'm not saying sell your FX3, because I'm not selling my FX3, at least not yet, because I can still make money off of it. The FX6 went up $1,000 in 2 months. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, man. Seeing those numbers, reading the sensor in 8K takes half the time than reading in 12K. This means that when the camera is recording in 8K, it's not reading the entirety of the 12K pixels. And he continues to say, and then downsampling to 8K, but it has to be line skipping and pixel binning. I thought I'm gonna just tell you that's not what's happening. I've talked to Blackmagic. I mean, I don't see a reason for them to lie. I've talked to Blackmagic specifically, and they specifically have told me that it's not down. They are not down. They're not pixel binning. They're not pixel binning, and they're not line skipping. None of that is happening. You got to keep in mind that it's a completely different sensor than typical CMOS. It's an RGBW sensor, so the way it reads out the sensors is very different. Also, keep in mind this whole system of how the Pyxis 12K as well as the Ursa City 12K and the 17K work is based on working very, very closely with Blackmagic Raw. Keep in mind, Blackmagic Raw does some partial debayering. So it's not the fact that it's line skipping or pixel binning, it's the fact that Blackmagic Raw is already doing some sort of debayering in the camera. And I've had a few conversations with a few reps at Blackmagic, and I'm trying to find the best way to say this without being too technical. The best way I can describe it is that the camera tricks itself into thinking it's a lower resolution than it actually is, if that makes sense. So with essentially through Blackmagic Raw, the camera tricks itself into thinking it's shooting 8K when it's not really shooting 8K. Or it's an 8K sensor, if that makes sense. So again, it's not line skipping, it's not pixel binning. It is, they don't even call it downsampling. They call it sensor scaling. It is a form of downsampling, but it's not the type of downsampling that we know mostly. I'm trying to figure out a way, because it's a very complex. I would say watch, if you haven't seen Team 2 Films video on the 12K sensor, please go watch it. I also made a video. It's called Why You Need 12K. Definitely check that video out. I go in and explain the whole thing about how that 12K sensor works. But if you really want somebody that even does it better than me, Team 2 Films video on the 12K sensor is a great video. But you should also watch mine if you want to get a chance. I'm just saying. Bill Brasky, hey man, thanks for joining, man. So I do not understand what Sony is doing. How can they say it's because of tariffs and expect us to believe it? Yeah. There's some, like, again, if this was like Canon C400, makes sense. It's a little bit over a year old. Maybe a year and a half. It's maybe a year and a half old now. That makes sense. But this being 6 years old, this is for me a little bit harder to believe. And again, Canon is using a lot. I'm using Canon as a reference, but they actually are using their latest tech in their C400. Whereas that's not even necessarily the case with the FX6. But hey man, you're not getting argued with me. Do I like the Komodo X? I think the Komodo X is a good camera. It's a really good camera. It's just more so red in general. The image, I know, I know this is all right. I know this is going to be, I know this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to be honest with y'all, and I'm always honest with y'all. I'm going to be truthful. I'm just not a fan of the. I'm not like a fan of the red look. I know so many people they love it, and it has great success, and I'm not arguing all that. It's just, for me, the image out of those don't do it to me. I don't know. They just seem, they just don't do it for me. And that's just being me. It's still a good camera. It's still, I would even potentially a great camera. It's hard to, I mean, it's got a great sensor. It's a global shutter sensor. It's got good well, it has great dynamic range and great latitude performance. It's just, the image just doesn't do it with me. But that's a red thing. It's not necessarily the Komodo thing. Exactly, Sonyflation, man. What should the FX3A cost right now, in my opinion? In my opinion, the FX3 should be $3,000. In my personal opinion, it should be around, maybe at best $3,400 max. It should be $3,400. That's where I think it should sit, somewhere between. I think it should be at $3,000, but I'll give it leeway all the way up to $3,400. That's where I personally think where it should be at. Like, here's the thing. With the FX6 and the FX3, I could potentially argue, there could be a potential justification for these cameras if there was like a supply crunch. Like, again, I'll bring up DJI. There is a legitimate supply crunch where drones are just not coming to the border of the United States because we like screwing ourselves up and decided we're going to ban DJI. Or we're going to basically get ready to ban DJI from using drones in the United States. So, I mean, because we like shooting ourselves in the foot and we decided to create a supply chain, DJI drones going up in price like we're seeing on Amazon right now makes sense. If Sony had that situation where their cameras are stuck on ships, shipping carriers waiting to be put in because of this stupid thing of tariffs that we shot ourselves in the foot in, I could actually say, you know what? Hey, we shot ourselves in the foot. We created a supply crunch, but that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You can easily get an FX3 just like you can easily get an FX6. This is just like Sony milk nickel and diamond. That's the best way I can think I can describe it, man. I'm grabbing the C50. All right, man. Good for you, man. Happy for you. My 3 apertures 400X have finally got here. Ooh, you're gonna have you're gonna have some fun, man. I'm actually using the 400X right now. That's my key light. That's like right over here. I'll be honest. I have really noticed a difference in terms of quality that I've gotten from this light compared to some of the other lights that I have. There's a noticeable. It's noticeable, but it's not. I won't say there's a, oh my God, this thing is like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing ever. I don't want to say that, but it's one of those things like, holy crap, there's a certain pop that's now happening that I wasn't necessarily getting with other lights that I have. So I've been loving the Aperture 400X, and like I said, it's my key light right now, and it's been my key light for a lot of my videos. To be honest, I hate the noise reduction that can't be turned off on the FX3. Hey man, you got me there. It's fine when used properly, but a lot of people don't. Yeah. To me, I totally agree with you, man. That's why it's so important that it's more important than whatever the specs and the text are in the camera. I was actually on Kofi's live stream earlier today, in the chat, and there was a sort of a little bit of a discussion about how the ZR's latitude performance is weaker than most things, which it is, but to me, and that's also one of the reasons why I've kind of not been as impressed by what I'm seeing image-wise from the ZR, because it seems like everybody has not really used the latitude properly on that camera. This is all. It all comes down to just knowing the camera you're working with, knowing its limitations and how it'll work with those limitations. For me, that's sort of the thing that I've always felt like, is that the camera should, to me, it's more, you should spend more time just getting to know your camera, getting to know its limitations, and then what you can do to get past those limitations. Like, if we're professionals, at least when my channel is all about doing things in a professional manner. And by the way, professional does not mean, oh, do everything at a Hollywood level and doing the biggest flex in terms of like budgets and things like that. No, just being professional means being skillful at your craft. It's in that simplest term. So when I say being professional, it's just like being the best. I put this channel together to make sure we can find a way to be the best that we can be in this world of filmmaking. And the thing that I'm always going to preach is before you start looking at another camera, go through and take a look at what your camera's doing and just work it until you've mastered it. And then when you've mastered it and maybe you're just like, you know what, I'm ready to look to new options, sure. And you've got the means. Don't go above your means. But if you got the means, sure, go for it. Yeah, 3K, that's like, yeah, 3K, totally fair. I think that is the reasonable price range where it should be at if Sony was pricing this stuff seriously. I do weddings, and the C50 seems like what I need for filming. I do my videos with the R6, R8. See, it's funny that I just got to you, Sean, because this is literally what I was just talking about with Robert's thing. It's like getting to know your craft and just, because I 1000% agree with your statement right here, man. Like, one, the C50, I said it when it was announced, and I said it in my reaction to the announcement video. The C50 is going to dominate the wedding filmmaking market. It's going to dominate the wedding film market. I almost guarantee that it will. So it's going to do great there. So if you're in the wedding business, I'm not going to tell you to go buy it. I'll never tell you to go buy a camera. But if you're in the wedding business, you should seriously at least think about it if you are looking to upgrade. The C50 to me is a camera you should seriously look at and try. So I think the C50 would be a great fit for you. But again, try before you buy. So, yeah, basically, yeah, Robert basically summed up what I took like 3 minutes to answer, which is that it basically tricks itself into thinking it's an 8K sensor. And that's essentially what happens. And that has to do with its sensor type, which is an RGBW, and the fact, and the combination of Blackmagic RAW, which does partial debayering. That's the reason why it works. It's not doing any of those. So everybody thinks it's pixel binning. It's like, it's not. It's not pixel binning. It's not line skipping. But what Robert has said is 100% accurate. B&H needs to drop this 12K already. My car is itching. Oh, we all look, Glenn. I know, but they are starting to ship. They are starting to ship. Hey, oh, Riz, what's up? What's up? How have you been? It's been a minute. I hope all is well. Thank you, Riz. I hope all is well for you. We gotta catch up. Honestly, for real, we gotta catch up. And chat, I would love to see how you've been and what you've been up to, girl. I'd love to hear from you. So, in my honest opinion, the Sony FX3 is a very capable camera, but it has that Japanese broadcast inherent video look. Blackmagic has an inherent filmic look. They're on different leagues in terms of IQ. No argument from here. Well said, man. Basically, I I don't have an argument with me. Look, I'm keeping the FX3 because it's a workhorse, but it's not my favorite image. I think it's a great image, and if you know how to use it, it can be a fantastic image. But you need to know how to work with it, and which I do, and I know how to get it out of that video look into more of a filmic look. And I can do it relatively easy. By the way, if you guys would love to know, if any of y'all would love to know how to take something like an FX3 that has or a camera that has kind of a digital video look and convert it into a film look, or at least how I do it, I'd love to. Let me know. Maybe I can try to see if I can do a video on it. I just picked up the S1 II and sold my S5 IIX. Man, I love it, but I have to build fans for it to fit in my rig. Hey, man, if you're happy for it, and I'm glad for you, man. Good for you, man. I'm really excited. Make sure to come out and show some content. Show us what you can do with it, man. Let's not just buy cameras. If you love it, cool. I would love to see the work you put with it, man. I always use and make sure I light my scenes properly. Yep. In real world use, weddings that I do, it's really great. Anything should be good with proper lighting. Yes. Yes. As much as we like to look, it's fun to drool over new cameras and new camera releases and new tech cameras. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about doing things professionally, it comes down, especially if you're talking about filmmaking, especially from a cinematography base. Cinematography is still fundamentally two things. It will always be two things, no matter what the tech is: composition and lighting. And at the end of the day, that storytelling in terms of getting something more cinematic, because you all probably know, you've seen thousands of, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of videos that's like, get the cinematic look. And it's all bullshit. I'm going to be honest with y'all. It's all bullshit. Because cinematic, shooting 60 frames a second doesn't get you cinematic look. Shooting shallow depth of field doesn't get you a cinematic look. That's all just word vomit, or in the words of Media Division, marketing diarrhea. Because at the end of the day, cinema is storytelling. Now, there's a technical thing where you want to say, hey, if you may think of it as film or get the film look, but even then, high frame rates and shallow depth of field has nothing to do with the film look. There's an analog and sort of thesis to the art of the film look, but that has nothing to do with that. And then when we're talking about cinematic, we're talking about storytelling. And storytelling, at the end of the day, no matter what camera you're using, comes down to two things. And remember, guys, I'm serious. It all comes down to two things: storytelling through composition and storytelling through lighting. How are you framing up? How you're framing up your shots? How are you positioning it? What is the interests of what's happening on the scene? And then how are you controlling the lighting to tell the story of your subject, but also the world? At the end of the day, it's those two things. So don't stress over if I'm going to get cinematic looks or this or that. It comes down to those two things. Sorry, long rant, but I love what you said. But long rant, Sean, but I love what you said here. All right, the FX feels like feels like Rockstar with GTA. They keep milking it and won't let it die. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but is that a bad thing? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's a bad thing or, I mean, because I'm like I said, I'm going to milk the FX3, because I look at it like I'm going to milk the FX3 till it becomes unusable or I can't use it anymore. If it works well, why not? But I'm just talking about I guess I'm talking about in workhorse. In terms of pricing, again, the pricing makes no sense compared to what the market, because when we're talking pricing, we're talking about markets. And comparing to what you have in the market right now, the pricings of Sony cameras makes no sense. R6 II looks great for photos. Yep, 100% agree. I mean, most of the Canon cameras are great for photos. So, okay. I understand the Pyxis 12K are not weather sealed. What would be your recommendation to make them more weather resistant? Do you consider them reliable enough for wildlife filmmaking? I mean, all right. I mean, they definitely could be used in the wildlife because I think Florent, who runs Of Two Lands, I remember he used the Ursa City 17K in like ice. I don't know if it was Iceland or I don't know if it was Iceland, but it was it was definitely a very cold and very icy weather conditions that he shot the 17K, which has essentially the same body as the Ursa City 12K. The point I'm trying to get at is you just need to bring stuff. What if it's some sort of cover? My guess would be to provide some sort of cover that can handle the various weathers. I mean that's what even the old days in the days of broadcast where journalists had to go and shoot in like massive dust storms. They'll cover it in plastic. Interestingly enough, I was just yesterday, I was doing a shoot for a political video, and it started to rain. I have a DJI Power Station 1000, but I bought a case. I bought a cover for it that can cover it. So if it starts raining, which ultimately it ended up doing, it was perfectly fine. It was sealed. It was perfectly protected. So I guess that would be my suggestion, is just maybe do some research and seeing if there's covers that will come out that can deal with that. I'm almost certain somebody's going to create a housing for it. I just haven't heard it. But I've seen the Ursa City, and the Ursa City has the same sort of weather sealed compared to the Ursa Mini 12K as well as the Ursa Mini Pro G2, which I've seen tons of people shoot wildlife with. So it's definitely possible. It's just, again, knowing the limitations. What are you willing to do to offset the limitations of the camera? So let's see here. Sony with the FX3 is like, oh yeah. Yep, we already, sorry, we're past that already. What scares me the most about the ZR is that a lot of the YouTube content looks like someone forgot to black shade a red, and there is no way to black shade. Fair point. That's a fair point. Again, yeah, in terms of just the way YouTube content has just gone in terms of the ZR, it's not like I don't think the ZR is going to be a great camera or solid camera. I'm like, again, I'm intrigued by the ZR, but I'm also like, let me make sure I'm clear and conscious, and I'm not just falling for the marketing hype and trying to FOMO in. And every single time I do that and I start thinking about it, I'm just like, there's a lot of things that just, I don't know, seems off. And right now, I don't know how to put it because I don't have the camera, but something seems off. And the overhypeness of the ZR that we're seeing only emphasizes me going, something seems off. Look, I'm not trying to say this is going to be like the cameras are going to be a complete failure. I'm just like, I feel like it's being overhyped more than it actually should be and done, if that makes any sense. Let's go. Yes, make a video on that digital film. All right, cool. Yeah, so I will work on that. So you got it, man. Let's see here. A James Jackson Films Masterclass on the FX3 sounds like a great idea to me. Awesome. All right, cool. So I actually got that. I got you guys. Don't worry. I'm surprised that so many people are still obsessed with the film look. Most movies have not been made with film for decades. No, yeah, totally true, Robert. I think it just has to do with the fact that film is what we grow up with. It's something that when we, as growing up and seeing what was considered great films and what we look at. And also it's also, you got to think about when people start putting rankings and puts like the greatest films ever made and things like that, the greatest movies ever made. You know, you bring up all those things. You bring up them Goodfellas. You bring Goodfellas. You name it. But those were shot on film. So that film look, I also think there's also an uncanny valley where things can get so digital that it looks off and it doesn't feel right. So digital has that uncanny valley aspect to it. And I think that's sort of, I guess, the big thing is that film. It's ironic that we're so big on pushing tech and trying to get all these latest and insane resolutions and sharpness, and yet we still want flaws in our image. Now, the argument is for two things: for higher resolution, a cleaner image, is that you can dirty it how you want without breaking the image or making the image fall apart. So the other thing is that a cleaner image is much easier, especially if you work in a visual effects environment. So that's why I think, but yeah, basically I think there's sort of like a nostalgia about it, and people just love that. Lighting and composition and deserves a YouTube video. All right. I'll definitely do a video on that as well. All right, so I think that's going to be it for you guys. I didn't actually think I would be going this long, but thank you all you guys who have stayed with me and checked me out. So I'll come back again, and maybe who knows? I think I'll put a poll out. If not this week, early next week, I'll put a poll out to see what you guys would love to talk about for the next live stream. Like, would you like to see a demonstration? Maybe a demonstration of how to do digital to film and DaVinci Resolve, and maybe a lighting and composition breakdown discussion like that. So I'll make a poll like something that either this weekend or early next week. So I'll have that set up for you guys. But and then again for the next stream. But thank you guys so much for doing it and sticking with me. It's been a pleasure, and I'm gonna let you guys go. Enjoy your Thursday. Get ready for a great Friday. I'm gonna rest up because I've been just running around like a chicken caught off my head because I've got so much. It's been a busy September, which I'm not complaining. Especially after the slow start that we had, I'm so happy to be so busy and getting the opportunities that I'm getting. So I'm never going to complain about that. But thank you guys so much. Before you leave, just make sure to leave a like so YouTube knows that you guys are enjoying this stream, and so I can continue doing this. Thank you guys so much. And as always, until next time, take care, everyone.